At this point in time, bonds have been issued by the government for quite some time, although the government has retired many of the long-term bonds. Currently, they're primarily focused on managing the liquidity, so all government issuance remains within the, 1-year bucket. However, in terms of like companies and financial institutions issuing securities, it's a relatively more recent phenomenon. There is definitely a huge demand for such securities out of Saudi. So a lot of it gets placed very quickly, oversubscribed in a type of a private placement activity. We are very keen to help in developing the secondary market, getting a lot of the bonds listed on the exchange. There was an attempt to list securities on the exchange. However, for various challenges, we haven't seen significant amounts of such listing. Every year you get 1 or 2 issuances that do get listed. Given the appetite, issuers feel there is no need to go down that path, given that whatever securities they're issuing in the market is being, very well absorbed by the private investors, by financial institutions, banks, etc., due to the need for such securities. All of the above mechanisms are available. To date, a lot of reliance is on the banking sector, where you are getting bilateral loans. Also, you have a decent syndicated loan business developing. People have, IPO'd in the past, and the number of companies listed on the exchange, the DAOL, is quite large relative to other exchanges in the region. The volumes of trade on the exchange are also very large relative to the rest of the exchanges in the region. I think Saudi is around 50% of the total trading that does happen within the region. However, over the past few years, since the credit crisis took place, we have seen a relatively diminished number of IPOs coming to the market. But this we expect to increase over the next few years. We're seeing a lot of companies prepare themselves for IPOing. Generally, they IPO a small portion of the companies, but there is a lot of support from the regulator to go down that path to help in the development of the capital market in Saudi, and to help to get the people to participate in the development of that market and the growth of those companies. So it is an activity that will see growth, but over the past few years it has been very, very low growth. On the Sukuk side, again, a similar phenomena. Large companies have been, dealing with banks for quite some time. Some of the larger companies have issued bonds a few years back. A lot of those bonds that were issued around 2006-07 have been retired, even called back before their maturities because interest rates fell dramatically. And, now we're seeing this market develop and increase in volumes. A lot of other companies are seeking, to visit this route of funding. But as of now, things are developing, but at a fairly slow and robust, if I May pace. They don't want things to, grow very rapidly and then have experienced some difficult challenges. So they want to take the market slowly and develop it bit by bit. It's actually both, but in general, the public, it's primarily the government-related entities. However, they are listed. Some companies are listed. Their requirement for funds is a lot bigger than the smaller players. So definitely in terms of volumes, it is a lot bigger. The largest issuance was the civil aviation issuance, the General Authority of Civil Aviation, that took place last year, which was around 15 billion riyals. That dominates. You get an issuance of $4 billion worth of Sukuks. It definitely dominates anything that is small company would require. But it remains the bigger players who are tapping that market with a lot of support from the government. I mean, the GACA issuance has an explicit guarantee, from the government to support particular projects.